Hi, I'm Dr. Aimee Aysenne. I'm a neurologist and an ICU doctor, and we're here to talk about brain death. Brain death is complete stopping of all brain function, and it is irreversible. Brain death is a medical and legal definition. Brain death happens to patients who might have had a traumatic brain injury, a stroke, or bleeding in the brain. The brain, like the rest of the body when injured, creates swelling. And when swelling happens, it can push at other parts of the brain that are vital to life. When the swelling becomes too severe for doctors to treat, it can create brain death or cause brain death. And that happens when the pressure inside of the head created by swelling is too much for the heart to be able to overcome to provide blood flow to the brain. The brain consists of two separate parts. One is the cortex, which is the part that is responsible for interacting with the world. It keeps us conscious. If the cortex is injured, a patient is in a coma and often on life support or a breathing machine. The second part of the brain is the brain stem, and the brain stem controls parts of the body that we don't think about but protect us from the outside world. For example, when a bright light is in our eyes, our pupils constrict, and when we drop drops in our eyes, we blink. We also cough to clear our airways so that we don't have things go into our lungs. Those are all protective functions of the brain stem. Brain death occurs when both the cortex and the brain stem is severely injured and has no function. The brain death clinical exam tests each one of these functions in order in a very systematic way. The last part of the brain is, the bottom part is called the medulla, and the medulla helps to control breathing. We must test to see if a patient can breathe before declaring them brain dead. That is called the apnea test. During the apnea test, the breathing tube that was placed in the patient remains, but the machine that is creating breath is disconnected. When it is disconnected, oxygenation continues through the lungs if the lungs are not injured, and the heart will continue to beat. Individual heart cells together can beat if they're placed in a petri dish, even if the heart is not connected to the body. And that happens because the heart has an independent electrical system that allows for transplantation of a patient who is brain dead to one who is not. The last part of the brain death examination is optional. If your doctor has any questions or concerns about the previous parts of the exam, confirmatory testing may take place. That tests blood flow to the brain in a variety of different methods. After a patient is declared brain dead, they are put back on a ventilator. This allows for time for family and friends to be together. During this time, it is very difficult to make decisions about the next best steps. Regardless of what the decision is, whether it be donation or to not provide donation or another circumstance that does not allow for donation, the patient will be taken off the breathing machine. That is because the patient is legally declared dead at that point, and we do not provide medical care for those who are not alive. If the patient, during the apnea test or any other part of the neurologic exam, has neurologic function, the patient is also placed back on a breathing machine. That doesn't mean that the patient will wake up, it just means that they're not dead. And unfortunately, they still have a severe neurologic injury. Individual decisions will be based on what is best for that patient and for you as a family. Hopefully this video helps you understand brain death a little bit better. And if you have any other questions, I hope your medical team can answer them.